Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. TJ O'Connor with me as always, Damian the Wolverine Hill. Trash Talk is joined tonight by Jackson McVey, the 2019 Submission of the Year winner for the amateurs. But first, Trash Talk is sponsored as always by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, Origin Wellness CBD, Spartan Martial Arts, James Clark Hypnosis Therapy, and Sports Psychology. I messed that up. The Fighters, and my mom. Jackson, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good. No complaints over here. I don't know. I guess we're going. TJ mentioned it. Submission of the year for the amateurs, and on your very first try, did you expect to make that big of a splash on your very first amateur fight?
Honestly, I was just going in expecting to obviously have a good fight. I expected to win, but no, I did not expect to get a submission of the year award. It's definitely very humbling. I really, it feels really good to be recognized like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. TJ actually was the one who let me know this right after your fight, that you actually have a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. How long have you been training, and how long have you been competing in jiu-jitsu before you actually decided to take your first amateur fight?
Well, I started training when I was 13 years old, so I've been training for about 7 years now. It all started with the UFC video game. I started playing as Carlos Condit and Nick Diaz and all those guys. I thought they were super awesome, especially Nick. Nick was a huge influence on why I started training. He started, talking about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and all that. So I thought I might as well try this Jiu-Jitsu thing out. So then found a gym and haven't stopped training since. When I started competing about a year into my training, just to, get my feet wet and, just have fun. I always thought that MMA has always been the end goal, but I've always wanted to be considered a jiu-jitsu guy. So I started competing then.
Oh man, that's amazing, and I mean, it definitely showed in your fight.
Yeah.
How long? Oh my God! Like I'm just really impressed with what you just said right now. This is the longest I've actually got to speak with you. We had the brief post-fight interview right after your fight, but now that we got a little bit more time to talk, like, fuck, I totally just blanked on my question. TJ, could you save me really quick? I do this all the time.
I got this. I love what you said as well about your inspiration and just finding and just some of the fighters you named, Carlos Condit, Nick Diaz. Just gritty is the word that comes to my mind instantly when you mention that. Wanting to base your style around that. I mean, that itself is taking a nerve, because you don't see Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit in fights that aren't wars. I mean, they embrace those type of fights. So to have that type of mentality, like, no, I want to be in those kind of fights at a young age, and it's shown. And I like to think that I have an inside scoop a little bit around. So I feel like your name was one of the names that was always floating around, kind of like the boogeyman. You'd hear about your success in the jiu-jitsu mat, and I'd always hear rumblings that you were transferring over to MMA. And then when you finally did it, obviously, a couple years later than most expected. I think a lot of people expected it when you first turned 18, but you waited a little bit more. Did you feel like the time was right, or was it the coaches that ultimately made the decision that the time was now to finally get in the cage?
My head coach, Ben Newman, he has always been really the head guy. He's been kind of talking to me. He said he was ready to corner me when I was 18 years old. Yeah. Really, my decision to wait was out of, I wanted to see. I still felt like I needed to work on a few things before I got in there. Obviously, I soon realized, you're never going to feel 100% ready to get in there. There's always going to be something you can work on. Once I got my brown belt and I felt like I was ready to go, that's when I decided to. Originally, the plan was to fight when I was 18, but I just felt like there were a few things I needed to work on. So I'm definitely glad with what happened. Now I beat a very tough opponent in Anthony Kromvig. So the result, I feel like the decision was the right one for sure.
Yeah. I mean, me and TJ have talked about this previously with other fighters and just in conversations with ourselves, but the experience level that you see in the amateurs now is way different than what it used to be. I mean, you making your amateur debut and you already have a brown belt, you see guys you used to see guys start to try to go after their brown and black belts after they already started competing, and that's the difference now. Guys are literally growing up competing in jiu-jitsu, competing in wrestling, learning the kickboxing, and then coming over in MMA. And with all of that experience, I think Ben Newman did the right thing by putting you right up against tough guys too. You came out against a guy who already had 3 fights, and now you're facing another guy who already has 3 fights, and I wouldn't say you're taking the easy route coming right into this. This is pretty amazing. Is this the route that you ultimately knew you were going to take, or are these fights just kind of lining up this way?
The fights are really lining up this way. This next fight against Wesley or Wes, I don't know which one he prefers.
Respectful.
It came up because of course. The main thing was I was looking for a fight on February 21st. Jeremy Bjornberg, the promoter, asked if I wanted to be on it, and I said sure. I said I'd be willing to do 205 or 200. So that's why this match is going to be at a catch weight of 200 pounds. So I have to cut a little bit more weight, but not too much. But yeah, I'm definitely really excited for this. I saw this my career. I definitely didn't want an easy one. I don't want an easy one. I don't want one where I feel a lot of a lot of people could say, oh, they're just a bunch of cans or whatever. I want tough fights. Absolutely. Yeah. I want tough fights.
Oh yeah, dude. Heart of a fucking warrior.
Oh, definitely. And by stepping up and taking a fight on the stage, such as the LFA, you're instantly going to be getting. I don't think there's any easy fights when you step up and fight for that promotion. And fighting a guy from Pura Vida as well, obviously one of the top gyms, known for their grappling. Wesley is, from what I've seen in his videos, he's a very good grappler, more of a wrestling base. Do you think that he's going to watch your last fight? Do you expect him to use that wrestling more in reverse this time around? And is that something that obviously, I mean, you're preparing for, but what type of changes do you make expecting that, he could easily try to keep this fight standing?
I that's a very good question. I always have felt that a wrestler would be a really fun fight, whether they wanted to keep it standing or take me to the ground. I always felt like a wrestler is going to be a really fun fight. So with this one, I'm expecting Wesley to take me down. I'm expecting him. He's going to look for that double leg. But if he wants to keep it standing, I'm more than happy to do that as well. I'm confident in my stand-up. I've been working boxing for a couple of years now with my boxing coach Herman Gilbert. So I feel like I'd be able to handle myself there as well. Obviously, I'd like to have it go to the ground. I feel like that'd be a little bit more fun. I think it was Henry Cejudo, Triple C. He always put it as he said that wrestling and jiu-jitsu are like oil and water. They never mix. And it's always interesting to see that kind of battle. So that's the kind of thing that I wanted to see. But we'll see what he says.
Dude, I love that, dude. Like that. It's like that's a fight that really excite the fans, and like you're embracing that. Like I really love that, dude. Like I mean, as much as TJ and ourselves, I guess, are analysts, whatever. I don't know what our titles are. But anyway, whatever.
I'm a fan.
Whatever.
All right.
The bottom line is we are fans of this sport. We're fans of these guys, and like you made me a fan right away, dude. I mean, granted that came right at the end of 2019, and this is right at the beginning of 2020. 2 back-to-back submissions, being in the running for submission of the year, two years in a row, maybe. So I'm excited to see if this fight goes to the ground as well.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty awesome to get 2 submission of the years, 2 years in a row. That'd be pretty awesome. I would expect to be in the Trash Talk Hall of Fame after that. So,
Yeah.
um,
You do
Oh
the
my
work, we'll
God.
do the rest. So I mean,
awesome,
I'm looking forward to
awesome.
seeing it. Just what has camp been like in this for this fight leading up to it here? We're still a couple weeks out. How's the preparation been for this fight? And without giving away a game plan, I mean, even though, like you kind of said, obviously you'd prefer a grappling fight, but what do you have to bring to the cage on February 21 to make sure that you get your hand raised and remain undefeated?
I think that a lot of times, especially in such a high level, arena in LFA, I think that the lights and the cameras and all of that, like, it's almost like a fight to win event. If you guys have, I was able to compete on that. Fortunately, I wasn't successful. I lost by decision there, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit in terms of like how much showmanship there is for LFA. So I feel like the main thing is I have to remain calm. The main thing is, and that's something that I have worked on a lot, and I feel that remain calm, cool, and collected. That's how, in my opinion, everybody fights best, is calm, cool, and collected. So that's how I'm gonna go in there, and I'm ready for knockdown, drag out war for 3 rounds, and I'm ready for a quick submission. I don't care. I'm ready even for a knockout. Who cares? I'm ready for I'm ready for anything. I think that especially with like you mentioned, Pura Vida, that is a very, very high level gym with very, very high level fighters. They put a few guys in the UFC. So Wes is definitely training with some very high level guys. I've been training with some high level guys as well. We've got a few good wrestlers. One guy, Cole Baumgartner, he wrestled at Duke and Mizzou. So he's been kind of overseeing my wrestling for this camp, as well as we've got Mike Allen, Old Man Cato wrestler. I mentioned him in my post-fight interview. He's one of my main training partners. He's about 260, 270 around there. And so working with him on takedowns is definitely, I think that Wes will feel a little bit lighter than him for sure when we lock up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you talked about, one of the things that me and TJ always talk about is the experience, gaining experience as an amateur, and that's the time to do it. Sorry. And then also, wisdom doesn't necessarily come with age. It comes with experience, and you've experienced being under the lights, as you put it, fighting under the fight to win. That's a big stage, and all the grapplers around the world watch that, and it's being broadcasted to all of them, being under that. Do you feel like that prepared you a little bit more for when you made your amateur debut, and now also fighting under the lights of LFA? And then, but potentially, I'm not exactly sure if they're showing the amateur fights on Fight Pass with this new deal, but potentially being shown, I don't know, but yeah. Do you feel like that helped prepare you a little bit for this?
I definitely won't say that it didn't help. It definitely helped a lot. It helped with what to expect. And the other thing is, when I came out for Fight to Win, I was a little bit more in tune with the crowd, which I shouldn't have been. I should be more in tune with myself and more in tune with the combat that is happening. So in that, I definitely, it's more about just keeping your head down, put up, walking out to that cage, getting ready to enter into, war. So when I do that, it's definitely much more. It taught me that I need to remain focused on what I'm going to do, not what the crowd thinks, not what anybody else thinks. It's just what I think and what my opponent is going to do. So that's generally what it taught me. And then this amateur debut, that was just years and years of hard work. I've been working a lot of striking, takedowns, all that stuff. Obviously jiu-jitsu is going to be my base. Jiu-jitsu is always going to be there. But working on those different aspects as well. All the main 3, so wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking. Those are the main 3. I've been working on all those for years now. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely helped.
This isn't really a question. I'm kind of just going to make a statement, but standing next to you, you are so goddamn long and tall, dude. Like, it's hard to believe that you can't just like punch somebody from almost 6 feet away. So dude, I can't wait to see your striking too. I mean, we've only seen the one fight. I can only imagine how well you use your reach and your length. And I mean, and it's not like what's the I mean, a non-insulting way to put it. Not like you're an Anderson Silva type of a body type where you're a skinny long guy, dude. You pack a lot of fucking muscle on that body too, dude.
Thank you.
I see a lot of potential.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, definitely. You know, working the jab. You know, that's key. Herman's always telling me. You know, my head coach, my head boxing coach. You know, he's always telling me, man, we got to work that jab. Always pumping that one out. So that's always key for sure. So the jab is always going to be there. Yeah, you're one of the first people to tell me to pack on muscle. A lot of people tell me, man, you're kind of a long, skinny guy. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I don't know if people understand this. Like, the thing is like when you see a guy who's like really long and has like muscle or whatever, it's like that muscle. It's long, and I mean it's long, so it's being stretched out. Like if you're short like me, then it's gonna be a little bit more bulky. So if you see a guy who has thicker arms and they're tall, they're probably strong as fuck. Right? I don't know.
I've been working on my strength and conditioning. You're good. I've been working my strength and conditioning at Horsepower for probably now it's coming up on 3 or 4 years. So Matt Miller has definitely been working with me on building that explosive power, building that cardio as well. I feel my cardio is the best it's ever been. I've never felt better in terms of how hard I can push myself and how quickly I can recover and all that good stuff. Matt has definitely taken me to the next level with that.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I can agree with Damien. I remember being at the Fight Cage side on December and just thinking like, man, he's all of a 205 or so. I mean, especially being 20, 21 years old. I mean, there's still so much time to fill out physically. The potential is truly there. Just before we do wrap this one up here tonight, we always like to give an open platform, just anybody that you want to thank, sponsors, teammates, anybody outside of the gym that's been there for you leading up to this fight, and who was there for you to win 2019 Amateur Submission of the Year.
There we go. Yeah. So I first of all, I want to thank obviously God. Without him, I'm nothing. So obviously I got to thank him. Want to thank my family as well. They've been there since day one, since I was a 13-year-old kid, wanting to train and be like Nick and Carlos Condit, so I got to thank them. Got to thank my training partners, Santos Verdinez, who's going to be on this card. You guys are going to be really excited to see him. Mike Allen, again, he's one of my main training partners. Ben Newman, he's been my MMA mentor as well as my life coach for, again, like 7 years. So you got to thank him too. Angelo, all the guys over at the Warriors Cove. I also got to say a huge thank you to Rodrigo Vaghi and Mike Rogers and everybody over at the St. Charles and Team Vaghi team down in St. Louis, Missouri. I was able to train with them, like Julius Angliscus, who was I believe the former light heavyweight champion over at LFA.
LFA, yeah.
So yeah, he so training with him definitely helped me to prepare for this. So I'm definitely very excited for that. Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to see your fight. I can't wait to see, dude. I'm glad that like we're talking to all these guys and everybody young. Like, granted, I guess we're relatively young still, TJ and I, but like I feel pretty old, and I'm just old. Like I have so much time to see everybody grow and develop as fighters and as people. Like I'm excited to be in the position that I'm in, and I'm really excited to see you fight and you perform and see how everything plays out for you. I'm gonna be there. February 21st. TJ, say the date. I think
February
I said it right.
February 21st.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
At Mystic Lake Casino. Yeah, TJ's the stat guy, everybody. For the people watching, I go to him for a lot of the stats. Like if I'm confused or forgot about something, or if I need to double check, I know TJ knows. So if you have a question about anything, TJ probably knows. So there we go.
Awesome.
Damn it. I had a word. I lost. I've been hitting the head a lot. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. Trash Talk with Damien and TJ. Do not be a hoe. We're out.